Hey guys, welcome to Mysticism Hour on the Golden Age Streams channel. I was summoned to do a reading today for today's YouTube video. And before we start, let me tell you about some of my influences today. Some of my energetic influences today. First of all, I'm drinking an iced coffee. But I was called to add some of my calendula flower essence in it, and the vibe that I get from calendula is it's like fiery. I feel like I always reach for this flower essence whenever I'm desiring to kind of cultivate this inner fire, and my phone is like being used right now, but I'm getting my nails done again this Thursday. And the nail design that I chose, actually I'll put a picture up when I'm editing. The nail design that I chose is this like marbly red orange that also is like in this vibe of cultivating this inner divine fire, and what I mean by that is I had this thought a few days ago that true creative power is when you can sustain your forward movement and your forward momentum without needing anything outside of you to stoke your inner fire and fuel that forward movement. So many people in our world, they do stuff using material from the outside world, it's like they'll only feel motivated when they're seeing results. They'll only feel motivated when they're getting external praise, when they're making money from the outside. It's like the praise, the likes, the followers, the money, whatever. It's like that's what they use as material to fuel their inner fire and motivate their outer action. But that is borrowed creative power. That is not true creative power. True creative power is being able to learn how to maintain this inner fire regardless of what's coming in from externally. Obviously, when you experience external material come in, that you will feel affected by that, and it will make your action taking faster or easier, because it does, like, that external material does land in your system and like stoke the fire and help you fuel yourself. But I guess the point of this we're starting off this reading today with that concept that if you're watching this, you're someone who is dedicated to learning how to stoke your own inner fire, like not learning how to not need anything or anyone outside of you to sustain yourself, because you understand that that is what true power is. It's power that's something no one can take away from you. It's not like you're not building your life, your businesses, your projects, your relationships, whatever, based on needing that external material. You're literally like cultivating energy from within. And it doesn't matter then what happens on the outside world. You're going to have that inner stability within yourself. So also I have this deck. It's like the Divine Feminine deck. And it literally has the same like red and orangey yellow vibes to it. So anyway, going back to the calendula. So calendula, I'm going to put a picture of the calendula flower. That's what when I was making this flower essence, and like that's what I was really, the energies that I was feeling was like moving out of inertia into momentum, like doing things that move. Like when you're in inertia, when you're in this state where you are kind of feeling like lethargic or just kind of slow and like things aren't really moving, you have to put a little bit of extra effort and energy into like, it's like kindling adding, like, when you're starting, I don't know if you've ever started a fire or seen anyone start a fire. If not, go watch a video of that on YouTube because it will be insightful. But when you're getting a fire started, you have to like put things together. You have to like put a little bit more effort, into starting it. You spark it, and then you need to kind of watch it for a bit to make sure that it is lighting up. And then once it's like lit up, it just kind of goes itself. And that is how I perceive like the energy of momentum. It's like when you're moving out of inertia into momentum, it does take a little bit of like hyping yourself up, like summoning and invoking your inner strength and power and courage, and like stoking that fire and paying attention, and just a little bit of more effort. But once it's going, it's going. So that's what, like, when I take the calendula flower essence, I'm basically always end up reaching for it when I am feeling like inertia starting to creep in. Like today's a Monday and I take Sundays off. And so there's just like, because Sundays are completely off, it's like the momentum from the week is like kind of paused on the Sunday, and then I have to pick back up on a Monday. So I think that's why I was reaching for the calendula. But I was asking ChatGPT about what the like kind of like the mainstream collective look, do you guys see Luna on the bed in the mirror? So cute. So I was asking ChatGPT what the kind of like collective associations with calendula flower essence is, and it didn't reflect back what I was feeling. It was talking more, I mean, I didn't really ask too far into it, like I didn't really like get it to go into detail, but the main thing it was bringing up is that calendula flower essence is used when you're wanting to communicate more gently or more compassionately or something. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I don't really, so I don't know, maybe that will come up. The other influence here is there's a selenite crystal right over there. It doesn't actually want to come into the frame, but it wants you to know that it's there in the background and it's absorbing any and all energies that from your reality that are not serving you. And by the end of this video, you will feel cleansed by its presence, but you don't really need to like focus on it. So, okay. So we've got two decks. We've got the Divine Feminine deck, and then we've got the Light Seers Tarot. And just not a disclaimer, but I never studied tarot. Like I never actually felt called to study tarot, because I have this thing with tarot where I love using it because I think it is very helpful, but I don't like to lock myself into other people's structures or other people's ways of seeing or interpreting things or belief systems. And with something like tarot, I feel like I always see people knock their cards, and I never did it before, but I just randomly did it. With tarot, it's such an old system, and I don't like to lock myself into the existing meanings of it. I guess it's the same with calendula, right? Okay, maybe that's what was coming up. It's like each individual person, you have your own way of relating to the things in the world around you, and you are allowed to update your definitions for things based on your personal experience. Like you don't have to just go with the collective meanings of everything or associations of every symbol, because you might have your own relationship with it, more your own experience with it. That's like with the calendula, it's like I don't associate it with the energies of like gentle, compassionate communication. Like I just does not feel relevant to me. Like for me, calendula is that fiery, invoking that fire, moving from inertia to momentum. That's what I associate it with. And so I guess this is just a reminder for all of us that you don't need to sacrifice your way of seeing for like the mainstream or collective way of seeing. And actually the guides are saying like, this is the time to really trust yourself and let yourself update your definitions, because what we're doing is that for millennia, humanity had been living in like, humanity had been kind of like made to live in the same collective reality bubble. Okay, so in modern era, that kind of translated because we had like one mainstream media source, right? And everyone would watch the same TV, all the information coming in would be the same. And so everyone kind of had very similar opinions and they lived in a very similar reality. But what has happened starting in like really, starting for a few decades now, but really like heightening in 2020 is, I think with 2020 because of the pandemic and everyone had to be by themselves, and you know, like there was like all these debates and discussions about mainstream media and like the truth of mainstream media, as well as people were started to use like walk into the work, spend more time in the virtual spaces more than I've always spent a lot of my time in the virtual space, but I found that during the COVID pandemic, a lot of people who hadn't been were drawn more into it. And when you start consuming like virtual, like when you start traversing the virtual world, you end up like taking in and finding communities and spaces and stuff that are like completely individual to you, right? Because the algorithm matches you with like your interest, your pathway, and like my algorithm is not the same as Garrett's algorithm. So what's happening right now collectively is that we are each shifting from this like one collective reality bubble where everyone kind of lives in the same reality, to realizing that we each are in our own individual realities and we create our own individual realities. And this was always the case, but it was really hard to really embody that, or to really like believe in that, because there was so much like outer interference that was preventing you from seeing the truth of this, that you are in your own individual reality and you create your own individual reality. And part of that is related to letting yourself update your associations, your belief systems about things, and allowing yourself to be fluid with your, like, don't just take the inherited beliefs that have been given to you, like the obvious ones like religion, like politics, whatever, from your parents, and like we can update those, and that's already a collective conversation. But even when it comes to things that are like tarot, whatever, it's like if it doesn't resonate, flower essences, calendula, it's like we're moving into a completely new paradigm. If something of the old world does not resonate, allow yourself to update its definitions for you, because you have your own experiences, you have your own like symbol, like different things, you relate to it differently, right, based on what you have experienced in your life, based on all the conversations you've had, your like lived whatever. Like there's a reason why calendula means what it does to me versus why, like, also think about the fact that all the definitions too, they really just came, like the existing definitions, like tarot, for example, it really just came from one, like a handful of people anyway. One people, or like a handful of people, like who developed the tarot? Isn't this like the Rider-Waite deck? Who's Rider-Waite? They're just two people. So it's like, just because their definitions and belief systems and perceptions of reality got chosen or selected for whatever reason by the collective and really like took off and became like the thing, it doesn't mean that it's the absolute objective truth. So a reminder for you is to let yourself update your definitions as makes sense to you. Trust yourself. Huge thing is trust yourself. If you're watching this, you are a leader of the golden age, and this is why you're seeing this video, because you are meant, like, you cannot create the new world if you're stuck in old world ways of seeing that are not aligned. Like, there's obviously old world ways of seeing that are still aligned, that you do still resonate with, but let yourself expand past that. This is the Nine of Swords, but reversed. So I, again, like, because I didn't like properly study tarot, I don't quite know exactly, like I've passively learned information about it, but when I'm doing these readings, I just look at the images on the specific, deck that I have, and then I go from there. So with this one, it came out reversed. So I'm gonna look at it regularly. So it's basically this woman, and she's like sad and she's crying, and it feels like there's all this bird situation, this crow situation. I am immediately just associating it with like mental fuckery, you know, like mental things in your mind, like demons in your mind, like just energies in your mind that are taking up a lot of space, that are making you feel like this. Okay, and so reversed means it's almost like it's falling out of your mind, right? Gravity is the thing. But in the reverse, it's like letting go of that. And perhaps that means you are letting go of beliefs, like we were saying, that you're holding on to because you feel like you should be holding on to it because that's what everyone does or that's what you're supposed to do. But they are keeping you feeling sad. Oh, so sad. Oh no. And then there's also this like little bird thing, like a white one. And this to me is representing like the installing new beliefs, you know, like just as you're able to let go of beliefs and systems and ways of seeing and definitions and things that no longer serve, like they don't no longer resonate. You know, something else coming up is like just in a very 3D human world example, this house, this beautiful house that Garrett and I now live in, at the beginning of our journey, because we were like, oh, we want to move from where we were. And the collective belief system right now around houses and around people our age buying houses, it's like the collective belief system is like, oh no, like no one our age is going to be able to afford a house. Like, no one can buy a house. And if we had not updated that, if we had just like kind of absorbed that fully into our beings and really allowed that to be the truth of our realities, we would not have even tried to look for houses because we would have just assumed that we can't afford it, because that's what everyone's saying. Like you can't afford a house if you're this age or whatever. Like it's like impossible. But luckily, we did have some spaciousness in our mind, and we allowed ourselves to just be like, okay, well, you know, like if we have to rent, we'll rent, but let's just see what's out there. And we walked the path. We like let go of the belief that we felt like were just inherited belief, and then we allowed ourselves to take action from a different belief, a new belief, a belief like, wait, maybe we can. And we ended up in this like gorgeous, amazing, beautiful house. And even now people are like, how did that? Because they're still in the old belief, so it's like doesn't compute. But I'm like, because we let go of this, we let the new belief in, and now we're not sad anymore. Amazing. So Divine Feminine deck. This is my favorite deck. This is like Mary Magdalene is on the cover, or at least the creator's depiction of Mary Magdalene. She's on the cover. We got Teresa of Avila, Our Lady of the Interior Life. I trust the answers I find within me. I know that the presence of love is real. Again, we trust the answers that we find within ourselves. This reading is about, oh my gosh, literally the whole deck. This whole Divine Feminine deck kind of just like fell out, and it just made me feel like there are all of these guides that we have access to, literally like so many guides in the non-physical realms, guides in the physical realms, and ultimately they are meant to help you. They're meant to guide you. They're not meant to be the decision makers in your life. This reading is about activating, reactivating, reigniting your personal power. Your personal power. Like you can only, I have this term in my world called the Golden Age timeline. You can only activate and fully align yourself with your Golden Age timeline when you take full ownership of your life. And that means that you trust the answers that you find within yourself. Going back to the calendula, I know what calendula means for me. And if I looked up that external definition of calendula, flower essence, and I didn't have this understanding that I don't have to automatically just agree with what someone else is telling me, that I can go with my own thing, I might have felt very confused for the rest of the day and tried to force that definition that ChatGPT gave me based on its like online research, based on, I guess, blog posts and stuff that people wrote about, try to fit myself into that version of reality where I'm like, instead of taking calendula, like the way that the energy I was picking up on is like I'm moving from inertia into momentum. And so I take this calendula flower essence and it helps me do that. And the rest of my day does, I do feel more of that forward movement and forward momentum. So that's the experience that I'm currently having. That's the timeline that I currently selected based on my inner knowing and my trust in myself and the energies that I was picking up on and my trust in my own definition of calendula. When I asked ChatGPT, tell me what the meaning or purpose of calendula flower essence is, and it's like, yeah, it's about like gentle compassion and communication, or gentle and compassionate communication with others, you know, just speaking your truth in a more like gentle way. And it's like, that to me is like a very different energy. It's like this energy, that's a really cool way the light's hitting. It feels like a pillar of light. Cool. Yeah, it's like, that is like a very different energy to me, because that would resonate more for me if I was in the midst of a kind of like conflict situation and I was just feeling like I was getting too like overhyped or over emotional and I wasn't communicating clearly, and I needed to. But that's not where I am right now in my reality. That's not what's happening right now in my reality. My foot is still itchy. I have mosquito bites on my foot. That's probably symbolic in its own way, but we're not going to spend time getting into that today. But yeah, it's like if I had just tried to then be like, no, read like the ChatGPT external world, like versus like the internet's definition of calendula flower essence is the right one and yours is not the right one, I would not have this experience that I'm having now with the momentum and things and all of that I desired. I would have the experience of, where, like, I feel like my brain would just go into trying to figure out what conflict is it referring to, like where do I need to like be more compassionate. I mean, like, again, also I believe that everything that comes up in our reality is relevant, but it's about like, I'm talking about like where we're focusing right now. It's like I would just have a different focus to my day. My day would be less about momentum. My day would be less about getting myself out of inertia into momentum, and it would become more about figuring out conflict situations and compassionate communication, like focus of my day. And this is where our like sense of creatorhood really comes in, because we get to decide what our day is. You know, I think with a lot of these spiritual tools, like in a way they've become their own cages, because people are again like using them to tell them what is happening, whereas they're just meant to be used like the whole purpose, guys, the whole purpose of this game is to remind you that you are the one running the show, that it is all you. You are everything. You are God, you are source, like you are this human, like it's all you. You've crafted this like perfect configuration of reality for yourself. You've crafted this life experience for yourself, and then you've like birthed yourself into this reality, and you're here to experience it and to learn out the lessons, and everything is like set up by you, by another version of you that is outside of this current awareness of you. And it's all for you, by you. Okay, and so it's just so funny. I'm laughing, my guides are laughing, because from the higher perspective, it just is like hilarious that this is like such an obvious thing, but in this life, because of, you know, the way everything is set up, and this is obviously part of what we came here to learn and to experience, is like, even in things like spirituality or tarot, whatever, like these realms that are about freedom and sovereignty, and like we get into these realms, I guess, seeking freedom in the direction of like freedom and sovereignty, and, you know, mapping our own meanings and things like that. And even then we'll end up caging ourselves or giving the cards of the authority over our lives. It's like, no, you get to choose. You want to have a day of momentum, or do you want to have a day focusing on compassionate communication? Like, you get to decide. I'm just going to flip to a random page on this guidebook. This is Ananda Maima, the joy permeated mother. I am my own guru. Book drop. Literally though, you are. And the only person, I can probably talk for an hour, but I'm being told to like leave it at that. You are your own guru, and I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, the only person that has a map to your golden age timeline, aka the version of your life that is the ultimate, absolute best version of your life, only person that has that map is you. You can use all of these guides, your guides, like people in your life, like whoever is guiding you, you can use them to guide you. But ultimately, they don't even know where you're going. They don't see the vision that you see. They don't have it. They have it for themselves. They know where they're going. They know what they're creating in their reality. They know what timeline they're moving on to or getting themselves onto. But they don't know yours. And we're now moving into this experience too, where it's really becoming irrelevant what other people are doing or where other people are going. I'm even just seeing like timelines, like you can shift everything in a timeline. I'm not going to go too far into it because this needs like its own explanation video, but this is just for people who already understand the concept of timelines. Everything in your timeline can shift. Nothing, absolutely nothing in your timeline is static. Even the laws of physics, despite what other people say, they are not static laws. You just have to know how to shift into the timeline where that law is different. And so let this video and this reading be your reminder that you get to create your personal experience of reality in literally any way that you want it to look. You can go as crazy as you want, and you can go as not crazy as you want. You can shift to an adjacent timeline that's like very similar to your life, but your hair is now straighter instead of curly because you just wanted straighter hair. And that's like a very like moderate way of shifting your timeline. Or you could like be like, I'm shifting to, like, you can go really far out and just be like, I'm shifting to a reality where humans all of a sudden learn that we can fly, we can levitate, you know? And it's like, obviously to get to this further, crazier out there reality, it's just way harder from where we are, or it can be perceived as way harder because you have to like update the belief systems. Okay, and it can be really difficult to update some of the belief systems for things like physics or whatever, where there is so much energy and weight that has like grounded these beliefs into our reality. It can feel like you need such a massive amount of self-trust and self-knowing and like connection to your own personal creator power and personal God power, basically, to be able to get to shift that reality. But it's possible, right? And that's the point of this video. Like, you get to create whatever version of your reality you want to create. Literally. Like, this is what this lifetime is for. It's for really like playing with it and being like, oh my gosh, I was born into this life and I thought I was so limited and that life was like this and that there was all these limitations. And then by the end of this life, or what if you could go to a timeline where you get to choose, like, your lifespan gets really crazy long. That's also an option. But at the beginning, like, I started with like a very limited life and with all these limitations and like things that I could and couldn't experience. And as I like got older and spent more time and started leveling up my reality creation skills, I started learning that, oh, reality is more malleable than we were taught. Reality is, I could do whatever I want. I can experience whatever I want. And then you put in the inner work, the outer work to update your belief systems, to update your like, kind of like, I see it as like software to your reality. You can like learn how to program your reality, but you need to learn how to code, essentially. But once you do that, you can then just like update your software hit run on the code and start experiencing a different version of your life. And obviously it's not as simple and like, but you know what your path is, you know what it means for you to learn how to code your reality. It's going to look different for everyone, but just the key there, the compass is your inner knowing, and the compass is your inner knowing, and the key that unlocks the door is your self-trust. The more that you can focus on your self-trust, on trusting your inner knowing over anything outside of you, the faster you will get to the experiences that you really, really deep down want to be experiencing, and that you deep down know that you're here in this life to experience. So that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Also, the selenite wants to remind you that you are now cleansed, and you are cleansed and ready to walk the way that you wanted to walk today. Oh, and we got Lilith. Interesting. I was picking up the thing and she's just like on the side. Lilith, the first woman. We love Lilith. I'm the voice of my body and soul. I choose a life that I desire to live. Period. Thanks for watching. Bye.